10,000 migrants through Denver. Zero significant help from other cities and counties in Colorado. Both candidates for mayor say that the city should not cut services for citizens in order to fund the migrant effort. That's what Mayor Michael Hancock has been saying could happen soon. The 10,000th migrant to arrive since December came today. 1,200 migrants are still in emergency shelters, vast majority of them in partner shelters not run by the city. Today, the mayor thanked those groups, but again stressed that the city's resources are not, in his words, bottomless. Mayoral candidate Mike Johnston says that other cities in Colorado would step up to help if asked. Denver's emergency managers say they have asked, and they're not getting any help sheltering migrants. Politics guy Marshall Zellinger examines Johnston's claims and others made in our third and final mayoral debate.
I have a real belief that there are mayors around the region that would help us. I have confidence you call Anna Stout in Grand Junction and you call John Suthers down in Colorado Springs and others, they'll want to do their part.
Let's put that statement to the test. I reached out to Grand Junction Mayor Anna Stout and outgoing Colorado Springs Mayor John Suthers. Stout told me it is fair to say that Grand Junction would help, but also that she has not had any conversations with either Johnston or Bruff. Suthers' office gave me a generic statement that included, "We are in continual contact with our partners if there is a need to support." Let's go back to Johnston from last night.
When you know what the numbers are that are coming and you know your capacity, you can partner with Aurora or a Fort Collins or a Pueblo or Colorado Springs and say, can you take 30? Can you take 50? What's your capacity?
At a news conference last week, current Mayor Michael Hancock said the city does not get advance notice that busloads of people are coming. I reached out to the cities Johnston referenced about helping with the migrants coming to Denver. Aurora's statement said, without any city-owned shelter space, it's limited in its ability to house individuals. Pueblo's mayor said, while our capacity is limited and untested, if requested, I would be inclined to help. According to Denver's Office of Emergency Management, the city asked metro area cities and counties for help back in December. Only 3 did, briefly. Larimer County agreed to shelter migrants for a short time, and Adams and Boulder counties sent staff temporarily to work in Denver shelters. Now to an answer Kelly Bruff gave last night when Johnston asked her about opposition to a bill in 2016 when she was head of the Denver Metro Chamber of Commerce. That bill, which became law, provides pregnancy-related workplace accommodations like longer breaks, limits on lifting, and modified work schedules.
I would never have opposed that measure. I would strongly support it.
But the chamber, with Bruff as CEO, opposed that bill, saying it duplicates and grossly expands protections and remedies already existing in current federal law.
Well, the chamber opposed it under your leadership.
The chamber isn't running for mayor.
But
I am.
Bruff acknowledged that distinction last night, that the chamber took certain policy positions with her in charge that opposed her personal position. But as we found out in the debate, you have to ask her about each individually to know which is which. Now let's take those in reverse. You notice I didn't give this the traditional truth test with some sort of stamp saying true, false, or in between somewhere. Kelly Bruff can have some wiggle room with her personal position, but it's clear in the Chamber of Commerce position, like you saw in those documents, with her in charge, she, as part of the chamber, said certain things, and now you have to ask her individually about, was that your position or the chamber's position? Mike Johnston has some wiggle room as not mayor just yet, that he can say certain things that we, as Grand Junction's mayor, said, well, I haven't talked to him. And it would be, she also said it would be inappropriate for me to talk to the candidates.
Sure.
But if asked, perhaps we're willing to help. So there's wiggle room there. So I just couldn't give them definitive answers there.
Yeah, but the context is helpful. And I think one other reason that we've spent so much time asking them about what they've done in the past and how it might inform what they do in the future is that when it comes to their forward-looking visions, they're pretty well trained on the same track.
Sure. And look at in this case with the migrants. We're seeing similar positions as what the mayor has done and asking for help from others. When you look at Bruff and her positions, is she on the same track because of what she stood for as the Chamber of Commerce CEO, or is she on a different track because personally, you didn't know it at the time, she took a different position? We don't know those unless we're asking her individually.
Yeah, if you have two candidates that are essentially status quo candidates for the city, their personal leadership and judgment attributes, I think, come all the more to the fore. Marshall, thank you. Colorado Springs voters have delivered a political shocker that's making national headlines. Yemi Mobolade has become the first black mayor ever elected in the Springs and the first non-Republican mayor down there in decades.
To one in this room who is in utter disbelief that Republicans and Democrats and independents can work together, can find common ground, maybe even like each other. Tonight is for you.
For the record, the subtitles there were added by our sister station in Colorado Springs. There's obviously no doubt about what Yemi is saying. Yemi, as he is known, stressed a nonpartisan approach to problem solving, kind of ran as like a non-political, apolitical guy. Now, his opponents were happy to point out that he had the support of the El Paso County Democratic Party, which said that he shared their progressive values. Republicans, including Wayne Williams, guy you see there on the left, still painted Yemi as a socialist. And Yemi won in a landslide. Former Secretary of State Wayne Williams says that win is a sign of a changing city and a divided party.
If Republicans are divided against each other, we stand no chance of prevailing. Christ and Lincoln said a house divided against itself cannot stand. That was true 2,000 years ago. It was true in 1860. It's true today.
So whether this is the end or just a pause in Wayne Williams' decades-long political career, it sure is a stunner. I mean, he was a popular statewide elected official just a few years ago. Then he lost in the blue wave of 2018, went down into Colorado Springs politics. And since that time, far-right Republicans have turned against him because he doesn't support election-rigging conspiracy theories. The Biden administration clearly did not like the NBC News report this week that the administration is considering abortion policy in deciding whether Space Command should stay in Colorado or go to Alabama. The administration flatly denied NBC's report. And today, Democratic Senator John Hickenlooper went to the Senate floor to push back, to say that this isn't about abortion, it's about which location's better for national security.
These are important issues, but we can't conflate these issues with Space Command for the simple reason that our military should never be politicized. Senator Tuberville wants to make this about politics. Senator Bennett and I want to make it about national security.
So it's interesting he says that, because just 2 months ago, Democratic Senator Michael Bennet, in rare angry Bennett mode, was making the exact opposite argument, that abortion rights should be a factor in the Space Command decision.
That was a political decision that should never have been made. If the politics had not entered in that decision, the generals would have gotten their way, Space Command would be in Colorado, and we wouldn't be having the conversation we're having today, because no one in Colorado would be having their abortion rights stripped from them because they were being sent to another state that's banned abortion.
And then there's this. What does this say here? Bennett, Hickenlooper, 36 colleagues urge Pentagon to consider abortion access in basing decision. That is a letter signed by Bennett and Hickenlooper in March, making the argument that abortion laws should be considered when making base decisions. There you have it. On the issue of abortion rights, few states would be more impacted than this state if the Supreme Court takes away the medication that's used in many abortions. 30% of Colorado's abortion patients come here from out of state as it is now. Fewer options for people seeking abortions would likely send even more people here. 3 judges on the New Orleans Court of Appeals heard arguments today regarding access to the abortion pill mifepristone. They're considering an appeal to a federal ruling out of Texas last month, which would revoke the pill's FDA approval. All 3 judges on this appeals panel have a history of supporting abortion restrictions, and their ruling's likely to be appealed to the Supreme Court either way. For some context on the impact of a potential mifepristone ban, last year that drug was used in more than 1/2 of abortion procedures in the U.S. The migrants arriving in Denver these days have uncertain lives ahead, but often what they have told us they need in the moment is pretty simple. A meal or two, a place for their family, their kids to stay for the night, the cost of a ride to get them across town to a spot where they've been offered shelter. And we've seen that help is often being provided by small nonprofits on a one-to-one, person-to-person basis. And a number of you have asked us how you can help. This week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign is supporting the Newcomers Fund, which is funding those small nonprofits on the front lines of the migrant crisis. You've seen from our reporting what that means. It's Yoli Casas from Vive Wellness talking with families who've been sleeping in a parking garage, finding them a place to stay, getting them an Uber to get across town. It's buying a bus ticket for a migrant who says he doesn't want to stay in town, is not looking to deplete Denver's stretched resources, he just wants to get to another city. The Newcomer Fund is run by the Rose Community Foundation, which makes me feel confident as a donor because they are the ones who are able to identify and fund the small nonprofits doing the best work, like Yoli Casas and Vive Wellness. And it also allows us, as people making a donation, some flexibility, knowing that whichever group is doing the most impactful work month to month is going to get those dollars parceled out so they can get it done. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word thanks to 303-871-1491 and we'll send you that link to donate. As always, I'll match the first 50 donations of $5 to get us started. I understand that not everybody is going to want to give to help the migrants who are coming to Denver. For me, giving a few dollars is not a statement about immigration policy. It's a statement about what we do as Coloradans when somebody who is in desperate need has come to our community and we're in a position to help. All this rain means fire season's not that much of a danger. Nope.
I'm not ready to sit in the rocking chair.
And at this assisted living home, one of the nurses is older than some of her patients. She'll tell us why she's ready to retire next. While most of us are thinking about the rain, the huge rain we got, the little rain we're going to get, firefighters are actually opening up an air tanker base in Jeffco so that they can better prepare for wildfires in the coming months. The base used to only be operational for certain months out of the year, what we once called wildfire season, before those fires became a year-round risk. While it's only staffed 7 days a week, April to November, this thing can open on just 4 hours' notice during the winter months. They did that for the Marshall Fire. And Forest Service workers who staff that base say that the record-setting rain we got last week does not necessarily mean that we are going to have an easier summer for wildfires.
We've gotten a lot of good moisture, which is really helping. But if that pattern changes and all this fuel that's growing dries out, it could be rough.
The base has hired more firefighters, more staff to respond to wildfires and to dispatch their planes. Last year, they said, was a slow season. 2020 was the busiest wildfire season they'd ever seen. Danielle Grant, I remember a conversation I had with a wildland firefighter a couple years ago, a similar situation where we got a ton of rain and said, oh, isn't this great? Isn't this great?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, it's great, except for everything that's growing now. If it then dries out, we're in worse shape than we were if we didn't have as much spring rain and we just had less, undergrowth growing.
100%. And yes, we are once again living in the high desert. We have the potential to dry out incredibly fast. Last week was wonderful, 4, 5, 6 inches of rain. However, we need consistent moisture to come through or else really it's going to be a problem. Quite lush in and around the foothills out there in Boulder. And you'll notice these temperatures this afternoon warming up, helping to dry us out too. Upper 70s, lower 80s here for the urban corridor. Pretty toasty off to the eastern side of the state with 60s up in the mountains. I am tracking a few storms, those primarily off to the eastern plains. However, as this cold front digs into the state late tonight, I anticipate it firing up a few more storms late tonight up in northern Colorado and then throughout much of the day tomorrow. I want to time it out really fast for you by 11 o'clock just to the north of the city. Wouldn't be surprised if you see some lightning, a rumble of thunder. Everything moves out overnight, but then just after lunchtime tomorrow, we get the party started yet again. Some heavy rain showers, the possibility of some isolated thunderstorms out there. Between tomorrow and Friday, we could easily be looking at a ½ inch of moisture and potentially some flooding an inch and a half into southeastern Colorado. Tomorrow, daytime highs in the lower 60s, a lot cooler than what we saw today. Still will be unsettled for us on Friday, but the 70s and a bit more sunshine back this weekend.
A longtime nurse at an assisted living facility has aged right along with her patients.
She's been my buddy.
You've been my buddy.
We're going to miss each other.
Yes.
Today is retirement day. Next. I want you to meet a Coloradan named Carol Wheeler. When Carol's husband died, she kept working to fill a void. She found that the work kept filling her up with so much more. So she pushed retirement down the road, way down the road. But now it's time. She shared her last day at work with our Katie Eastman and photojournalist Ann Herbst.
Every once in a while, a person proves
Hi.
a job
Hi.
isn't what they do,
Good.
but how they do it.
Now, you told me he was a teacher.
Carol Wheeler has made her job about the people.
I think he's cute, but that's all right.
She knows their stories, from the silly
Well, she has a fox that looks like he has a mustache.
to the sad.
73 years they were married.
Yeah, I miss her.
I do too.
The residents at Estes Park Village Assisted Living
Oh, that's right.
rely on Carol for connection
This is the med book.
and care.
I oversee all the medical part, all the wellness part of the residents. I know there was one staff member that came and they said they were frightened when they talked to me. I can be very direct, but I'm here for the residents. This is their home. So how are you feeling, Don?
I feel fine.
Let me look at your hand.
Carol knows her stuff.
No, you may not take it off.
After all, she's been a nurse for a very long time.
Since 1960. Well, I'm 83, and it's a 55 and older population here.
I wish he'd be here forever as a nurse.
The people who live here see her age.
She's been my buddy.
As a strength.
You've been my buddy.
I know.
They notice how much she cares.
I think she's awesome. She had a big job to do, and she did it so well. Still.
They'll notice.
True.
When she's gone.
Till tomorrow.
Tomorrow's the day?
Today's the day. Tomorrow I'll be here for 5 minutes.
So you're retiring?
I'm retiring.
Yeah.
I'm going to Iowa. My granddaughter lives in Iowa City, so we're going to be living near them. It's time for a change.
Starting over with her family means an end to Carol's career.
We'll miss her a lot, I know.
It's the right decision.
Oh, goodness.
I know.
But it's not easy leaving this family behind.
You are wonderful.
You are too.
Oh, thank you.
For Next, I'm Katie Eastman.
Isn't that enough?
Oh, what a special woman. What a life of impact, huh? Carol told us, she's going to retire, but she's not going to do the rocking chair thing. She is excited to have a garden in Iowa where elk cannot eat it, and she's excited to spend time with her grandkids, her great-grandkids. Our work together to help the families of migrants coming to Denver, and your feedback next. While the city of Denver shoulders much of the work and the cost of helping the thousands of migrants coming to Denver, there are small nonprofits with dedicated volunteers and staff working long hours to do all of the little things that really make a difference between, say, a family sleeping in a parking garage on the Aurora campus overnight or having a hotel room. This week's Word of Thanks microgiving campaign supports the Newcomers Fund. This is Rose Community Foundation's program to fund all the little nonprofits that you've seen profiled on Next, like Yoli Casas and Vive Wellness, the folks who are out there on the ground every day helping migrants find meals or a hotel room or a bus ticket. Scan the QR code on your screen or text the word THANKS to 303-871-1491 to get that link to join me in donating to the Newcomers Fund. Feedback tonight from Bud, who says, I think the candidates for Denver mayor should be commended for not running constant trash ads on TV. He says, I think I've seen all of their ads, and not one was an attack ad. I believe that you are correct, Bud. So the ads did just come back up on television within the last week. I would imagine you would not see a negative ad from either person in the race. The question is, will the out-of-state interest backing Mike Johnson come in with attack ads? Will the developers and builders backing Kelly Brough do it? We'll wait and see you next time.